What? Greetings, owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles. Today, we are here to talk about a serious and non-classy issue. Normally, doing a video like this, I would actually come out with the boss monster crown and start yelling and ranting and raging. And frankly, I'm livid right now. But I think it's going to be far more effective if I remain fairly calm and explain the scenario to you guys. Because before we were dealing with one kind of theft scenario, and now we're dealing with an entirely different kind of theft scenario. And things are getting crazy in Magic the Gathering Online. So we need to get into this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pop on up into the corner and give you a nice screen capture of everything that's going on. We'll talk about the absolute state of insanity in terms of theft in Magic the Gathering Online. So let's do it. Pop in on up. Which corner am I going into? Which one's it going to be? Where? Right here, baby. Where's it over here? Who knows? Let's see. All right, here we are. So, for those of you who don't know, Magic the Gathering Online is exactly what it sounds like. It's just an online version of Magic the Gathering where people have online collections. Now you can redeem cards from this to get complete sets. These cards have financial value to people. They can be traded back and forth. There is an economy in this game. And that's what's being preyed upon. We have a really big situation with the program. Now, there is basically this individual named Chris M. posted on Twitter. He had been contacted specifically by Card Hoarder. Now, Card Hoarder is a MTGO service. Basically, they buy collections, okay? So, if what happens, just to give you a really rough idea of how the whole theft system works, is somebody gets access to another person's MTGO account, then they go in and liquidate the contents of that account, either by turning the cards into tickets and then selling the tickets, or just selling the entire collection as a gigantic one piece to one of these MTGO businesses that specialize in buying cards and reselling them. So, thankfully, there are actually a number of incredibly ethical MTGO sellers. This is really nice to see. So, Chris was contacted not by Wizards of the Coast, who had sorted this out. No. Chris was contacted by Card Hoarder, and what they had to say was, early this morning, one of our agents noted an attempt to sell the collection, and then it blanks out the info there that's personal, on MTGO, and it fit a common pattern for MTGO account breaches. Notice that these retailers, these guys are able to discern these patterns. Wizards of the Coast, are they able to do anything? Can they discern? We don't know, because they don't contact us, okay? I'm going to share all my opinions on all of this. So there's certain things in this video, obviously, I can't state as fact. Keep in mind, these are my opinions of how Wizards is operating. They are a 20-year-old corporation. No, sorry. They're a 25-year-old corporation, but MTGO is essentially almost 20 years old at this point. So we're dealing with a really old software. Anyways, to continue with the email here, it says, it fit a common pattern for MTGO account breaches, seller in Sweden looking for a wire payment. And previously in the past, guys, we had talked about a potential breach by somebody from Sweden. Now, the reason this one didn't get as much of an outcry was the person who had been robbed was part of a group of people who shared passwords and accounts and things like that. So there was a lot more potential for that information to have gotten out, the account not being kept secure. So that was written off by Wizards as, hey, kind of whatever. They got their cards restored, but they were like, you need to keep your stuff secure. They didn't get their cards restored. They got tickets back. We'll talk about the entire way that Wizards handles all this too, because it's really, it's not how companies should be doing things. And honestly, I think part of it is because not enough people know how Wizards of the Coast does this sort of thing, and the word needs to spread. This is one of the reasons I'm not ranting and raving. The weight of this hat is actually surprisingly good for keeping me from freaking out. Normally I'd have the boss monster crown and I'd be yelling my head off, but this hat keeps reminding me just to stay calm. The point is to get the information out there, because this makes me livid. This scenario makes me genuinely angry. There's no excuse for it. So, Anyways, back to what the company said. I looked at my email for this username and came across your CHN application from 2016, so I wanted to alert you right away that we believe your account has been breached. So, a seller, this account gets breached, the person's already turning to sell it to a seller. Wizards of the Coast has absolutely no idea, has not contacted this person, but they're being contacted by a seller. That by the buyer, I should say. Now, the buyer, card hoarder, also notified Wizards of the Coast about this, although they say, I don't know how long they take to shut off trading on a breach account. Now, this is frustrating because we've seen also in the previous video, we saw with another card retailer slash buyer on MTGO that they had asked Wizards of the Coast and contacting about these security things. There are multiple reputable individuals running businesses on MTGO that cater to the market that are doing the work for Wizards of the Coast, and they can't do it effectively because obviously they don't have the back-end tool. Wizards of the Coast needs to be on top of this. They said, we didn't buy this collection, and it's possible the seller still thinks we might, so time is of the essence at this point. Basically, card hoarder got contacted and said, look at this. This meets all the criteria of seeming like this is a stolen account. Let's contact this person who we've done business with before, say, we think your account got jacked. We don't think he knows yet that you know, so if you act quickly, you might be able to save your collection. And this is stand-up behavior on the part of card hoarder. They get a classy kudo from me, a bow of the massive hat, out of respect for that. So, that's what happens. Now, Christopher gets, the next thing he says here, does Magic Online seriously not send an email when passwords are changed? Yeah, that's the case. They don't send an email to the account on file for email changes or name changes. And that's crazy. Let's read this and we'll talk about that as well. Hello, Ryan. We here at Wizards of the Coast have found attempts to access your Magic the Gathering account on a suspicious IP. We're investigating. We've deactivated your account's trade privileges as a preemptive security measure. We're reaching out to the email account associated with the Magic Online account to begin the process of resecuring your account. Since there's been an attempt to access your account and people do not always maintain email addresses, we'll need to go through verification. This is what drives me crazy, guys. Two-factor authentication. 3 little letters, TFA. Two-factor authentication. Do you guys know what that is? Like, they have it on Twitter and all kinds of other stuff that doesn't even have anything of value on it. Just to protect your pictures of your aunt that you took at a picnic. Twitter's like, yo, verify this on your phone. Yeah, people keep phone numbers generally a lot longer than email numbers, especially emails in this day and age. So, two-factor authentication is an absolute must when you're dealing with properties of this level of value. It's insane. Wizards of the Coast basically has just the way, guys, and when we get deeper into this, it gets even crazier. It's it gets scarier the further we go deeper down into this. So basically what happens is you end up with your account locked afterwards. So somebody goes in, steals your stuff, sells your stuff. Afterwards, Wizard comes along and goes, we gotta re-verify, we're locking up your account. So it could be up to 2 weeks from the last thing that we saw, where your account is just inaccessible. You can't, it's like somebody robbed your bank account, and now you can't use your bank account afterwards. So the card hoarder found out about this ahead of time. Wizards doesn't have two-factor authentication. It gets even crazier. Where is it? Where was it on here? Oh no, it's over here. It's over here, the card hoarder thing. So on card hoarder, there was a retweet. April King was talking about how she wants to write an article on how to protect yourself from MTGO account compromises. And the crazy thing is, when you look at it here, you talk, actually, sorry, let's back up a second. My apologies. I don't want to get ahead of myself. I completely forgot. I'm pretty amped up about this, but I'm trying to remain even keeled. So I forgot we need to look through the responses to this because it sheds more light on the situation. That's part of what I was saying when I say it gets worse. So, any idea if the root cause can be linked to password overlap with another site or something similar? Chris says, my password was unique for Magic Online. So this isn't a case of finding passwords from other accounts, previous iterations, things like that. And Card Hoarder says this is the scariest answer, as the prevailing thought is these breached accounts are coming from other wider breaches and other compromised websites. And that is what we all thought. We thought, okay, you know what, they're tracking down old usernames, they're tracking down old passwords from less secure sites, and they're using it to breach. But that's not what's going on. And you can see Daniel Fournier here saying, my password is only shared with my router, so I'm pretty certain this is a vulnerability. And then he goes, it's cool that there's just someone from Sweden aware of a vulnerability in Magic Online going through every known account and emptying them out. And we'll get a little bit more into this password access too. because there's more on that on the April Cube thing that I wanted to talk about, but I want to go through this first. So it says, same person managed to get the accounts from a lot of Swedish players from our biggest MTG forum. Luckily, all of them got their stuff back from Wizards. And then Daniel says, every single person getting their stuff back is losing a ton of money on rake. I'm certainly down at least 600 to 800 bucks to this. If you don't know what he means, let me explain the egregious system that Wizards of the Coast uses. Not only do they not use two-factor authentication, not only do they lock you out of your own account long after you've been robbed and it's just too late, right? The crazy part is, at the end of the investigation, if the person who sold the stuff from your account, like basically if they liquidated your account into a bunch of tickets and then sold those tickets, Wizards will just restore the tickets. So it's like if a thief took everything you owned and had the ability to, like, let's say you owned $100,000 worth of stuff. Now I'm going to use a hyperbolic example. These percentages aren't the same, but I'm just trying to do this so that you understand. Let's say you owned $100,000 worth of possessions, and a thief could come and take all of your possessions and just go like this and turn it into $1,000 cash. Now you've just lost $99,000 worth of value of your possessions, right? And then the police come along and go, okay, we're here to sort things out and resolve this for you. Here's your $1,000 back. And you're like, but he stole $99,000. And then they go, well, no, sorry, your possessions are out in the greater world. None of that can be restored to you. All we can do is give you this $1,000. And that's literally the way that Wizards of the Coast operates. If somebody liquidates your account into tickets, they say, oh, we can't do that because of the way it affects the outer market and things like that, which is a completely lazy and nonsensical excuse. And it's absolutely unforgivable when we live in a day and age where every time you log off from MTGO, it could take a snapshot of your account. It could just do it once a day, too. Like, you know how Minecraft servers have the ability to roll back? They could do that with your account. It's just a tiny little bit of information. The information you need to store, the digit information to store for an MTGO account, isn't some massive, sprawling, multi-terabyte information. It's tiny. And there's absolutely no excuse for not being able to go click, click, rollback. Oh no, there's a couple more copies of these cards out in the market. You don't care because you're perfectly fine with people buying the tickets and buying new booster packs, which could put more copies of those exact self-same rares out into the market. So their logic, it doesn't even work when they say why they do things the way they do. You can be robbed, have all your possessions sold down to nothing, and just be returned to that nothing and go, now we're considered equal. Case closed. That's how Wizards of the Coast operates, and they don't have two-factor authentication. They're running a sorry, I'm just gonna go ranting off track. Let's get back to this. We got the hat. The weight is working. Keep me classy, baby. All right. So it totally depends on how things go down when the account is breached. In several instances, we've returned after rebuilding them entire collections which go back to the original owners. Now this is Card Hoarder, this is an upstanding business right here. Look at this, guys. I want you to think about this for a second. From the perspective of a greedy individual. The system online is anonymous, pretty much. Wizards of the Coast isn't going to come to Card Hoarder and go, we know that you have bought a stolen collection. There's no way to know for sure it's a stolen collection. To find out, you have to do your due diligence, which clearly these guys do. They did the research into it. They looked into it and said, this really looks like a stolen collection. So we're going to contact them. So these are the kind of upstanding individuals that we're dealing with. And that's absolutely fantastic that they would go to the effort to rebuild collections. But they shouldn't have to do that. That should be Wizards of the Coast's responsibility, is protecting the players. Wizards of the Coast, if somebody's handing out all their information, giving somebody their phone, their password, and they get by two-factor authentication, that's one thing. But Wizards of the Coast doesn't send you, like, almost everything. Whenever a change is made, they send you an obnoxious amount of emails going, look, this changed. Here's the location, here's the computer, here's the time of login, here's the country, here's all the data. Wizards of the Coast didn't even let you know. It's crazy. So sometimes the thieves liquidate things through bots and sell the ticks, and the ticks go back. That's the really criminal part to me. I hate that. Not criminal in a technical standpoint, obviously. Remember, these are my opinions. So, Carter says, typically they don't get caught before the collections disappear. So typically they don't get caught. That is not the norm. So in most cases, that is not the case. In some cases, if the collection is sold to us as is, we need to give back what we bought. That's amazing. So sometimes it's the whole collection, sometimes it's tickets. We've added more and more security measures on our side to detect it, but it's still hard. How frustrating is that? Because I can't think of a single security measure that Wizards of the Coast has instituted since like the beginning of Magic the Gathering Online. And we're going to talk about those flaws. Let's continue onwards here. So the only thing that's left of note out of this little thread here is this part right here from Paulo Veeder, where he goes, "Poor Christopher, whoever he is," while responding directly to Christopher, because that's who this is. That's amazing. That's incredible. So a nice little joke there to lighten the mood for a moment. Let's take a look over at first of all, let's look at the questions that are being brought up in regards to what are thought to be problems with MTGO security. So how complex was your password? When was the last time you changed your password? Was it never changed? When was it created? Did you share your account password with anyone? Was your password reused between Magic Online and other websites? If it was reused, which websites was it shared with? Is your Magic Online account name stored on any websites? Are you a streamer, or do you otherwise post screenshots with your account name? And the posts under here are very enlightening and kind of terrifying. So let's take a look at what the information we have under here is. We've got Jacob saying, you should mention that if you play in events on MTGO, there's a high likelihood your username has been published through Wizards of the Coast alongside Decklist and republished on MTG Goldfish. I'm not sure, April says, I'm not sure why your MTGO account name is also your login name, given that it's published. It'd be much safer if you logged in with an email address instead. There you go. So one of the key pieces of login information is not only something you can't protect, Wizards actively posts it. And they post it if you have a really good deck list. And if you have a really good deck list, there's a higher incidence of you having good cards. It's almost like a shopping list for the criminals. And so basically, what's the next thing here? This one here, this is the one that's really freaky to me. Pascal says he got himself 100% on passwordmeter.com and 145 trillion years on how secure is my password. And if you don't get that, means 145 trillion years would be how long it would take to break the password. So he's gone so far using his password as to use sites that are designed to help you make unbreakable style passwords. So he changed his password less than a month ago using these methods. His account is 6 to 7 years old, but he changed the password less than a month ago using these methods. He had previously shared, but had not shared the current password that he had with anyone. Not used on any other websites. The combination of password strength and not sharing it anywhere means it's highly unlikely the exploit had anything to do with my password. I've seen no signs of being keylogged, security software, suspicious activity elsewhere, new suspicious MTGO activity either. So it's almost 100% a software server weakness on MTGO side, which makes it even more disheartening for their support to claim, just change your password and you'll be fine, when that clearly wasn't the problem. Now, if this is true, that's chilling, because it means all they need to get into your account is your username, and your username is posted all over Wizards of the Coast if you're successful at all. If you're a streamer, if you're anybody who does anything public, you're more likely to have things of value, you're more likely to get robbed, and all they need is your name. That's absolutely terrifying to me. So in this situation, we're dealing with a 20-year-old program, basically. I mean, it's more like 17, 18, but I'm rounding up to 20 years because, hell, that's what's the difference at this point? It's that archaic. They have a different release date for cards on MTGO because they can't figure out how to program cards into their software. Even after 20 years, they haven't effectively figured out how to program cards into their software. On top of that, they have a bunch of people working on a digital other game called MTG Arena. They are not putting any security measures in. All they need, two-factor authentication, would make it far, far, far more difficult to steal someone's account, because you would have to clone their phone or find another way to somehow duplicate their cell phone number to get the texts sent to you. And that is extremely, extremely difficult. And that would only work if it's not something as simple as just knowing an exploit where if you know a username, you can log in. This stuff is happening frequently enough that card sellers, multiple card sellers, are aware of this to the point where they're contacting the consumer and they're contacting Wizards of the Coast. And Wizards of the Coast is sitting on their hands. Why? It's total ineptitude. Some people will point to it and go, no man, this is an evil scheme to get people into Arena. And it's not. They're clueless. If the easiest way to explain things away is ineptitude, it's almost always ineptitude. And in this case, Wizards of the Coast has proven themselves to be thoroughly, absolutely inept. I have said it before that MTGO is not a wise place to have your cards, to have your money. I sold the entirety of my collection. I will never return to MTGO. There's absolutely no way, and I will never get into MTG Arena as well. I will not use Wizards of the Coast digital platforms. I'm not going to do it. I don't trust them in the slightest to do a good job of protecting my privacy, my information, my account, any of it. I have zero faith in Wizards of the Coast's ability to do most things. That's genuinely the point that we've reached. This is a 25-year-old corporation. This is a $500 million corporation that has the security of like a beta startup on Steam done by like one dude in his basement. It's atrocious. It's abysmal. The amount of money that gets poured into MTGO, the amount of assets that are in there that Wizards of the Coast is protected from considering assets because they just go, we just gave you the license to them, it's just egregious what they're doing. This is absolutely unacceptable. And it makes me livid. I want to be raging and yelling and swearing about this. But more importantly, I want the word to get spread about this, guys. So I don't normally ask this, but please share this video. Spread the information around. This needs to get out there. Wizards of the Coast is not living up to their responsibility to consumers in this case. This is not some corner case where we're yelling about, oh, I don't like what they're doing with the cards, I don't like the direction creatively of the game. We're talking about the stewardship of the online game, the responsibility to the consumers. They've put a lot of money into this game, and Wizards of the Coast is letting it just basically be taken from them. When you lose your whole collection because someone came along, turned it into tickets, and you get a fraction back of that, and then you have to go and try and rebuild your collection, you've lost time too. And Wizards shows no respect and no concern for that. And I find that to be absolutely unacceptable. So I encourage you to share this video, and I encourage you to let Wizards of the Coast know. And if you're new here, hit that subscribe button like the sign has been trying to tease you to do all video, baby. So thank you for coming by. Please share your thoughts in the comments. Let me know if there are any aspects of this that you think that I have missed or are not being represented properly, because this is an incredibly important issue. I wouldn't take time away from talking about the fun lore stuff, because these videos, they don't leave me comfortable. They don't leave me happy. I don't like making videos that leave us with a sour taste in our mouths, but what I like less is people getting robbed and Wizards turning a blind eye to it, essentially, when they could just go, hey, look at this, two-factor authentication, bloop, oh, hey, here's an email, people are logging into your account from Sweden. Like, there's nothing, 20-year-old, antiquated, archaic software, and yet they happily take people's money day in and day out, while they want to make it harder for redemptions and things like that. So, not happy with MTGO, stay away, and I am oot!
Together, we are the sixth color of magic.
And I'm history, baby.